Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, Madam Liba. My name is Najah and my other team members is Shakila Alisa and Nick or Fatini. Today we are going to present on analysis 3 where the advertisement that we have chosen is Panadol. So, this advertisement is used to promote the effectiveness of medicine and to influence social identities. This study analyzes 15 Panadol advertisements produced by Helion from 2015 and 2026. Helion is the company name for Panadol. So this analysis investigate how the advertisement uses language, images, and other visual elements to communicate messages, how Panadol construct its brand identity through this advertisement, and how the advertisement portray and assign specific roles and identities to consumers. Next, for the research questions, the first question is what are the vowel identities created by Panadol for themselves as a brand, and what are the description identities created by Panadol for their consumers?
As for data collection and findings for this study, we analyzed a total of 15 Panadol advertisements spanning an 11-year period from 2015 to 2026. These samples represent products under the Helion brand. Because modern consumers engage with different platforms, our data is multimodal. We selected 11 YouTube videos and 4 Instagram ads, and we choose this mix specifically because while YouTube provides long-form narratives, Instagram ads allows us to see how the brand identity is condensed for high engagement social media environments. This variety ensures our analysis covers both traditional and contemporary digital discourse. As for our data selection criteria, it was based on 2 main factors, which is first one is the chronological span from 2015 to 2026, and it was chosen to capture the significant discursive shift following the COVID-19 that happened in 2019. Second, we prioritize geographic diversity by including advertisement from the UK, the Gulf region, and the Southeast Asian market that consists of 3 countries, which is Malaysia, Indonesia, and also Cambodia. Our analysis identifies how global brand identities are localized, and we utilize the concept of intertextuality as theorized by Chris Teva to see how Panadol incorporates specific cultural and religious elements to resonate with local audiences while maintaining a global brand image. Next, this is the 15 cross-cultural advertisement that we have chosen, and the first one is Panadol Release Starts Here, which shows a construction worker. The setting is probably in UK because it is posted by the UK Panadol in 2023. The next one is also developed in UK, which is more powerful than standard paracetamol, released in 2022. The next one is the first ad from Instagram. We have college student post-vaccination, released in 2021. Also from Instagram, Panadol Children, released in 2023. And the next one is Panadol Mama, which we gave the name Mama because of the Mama worker in the ad, which we don't know the title of the ad, so we just did put Panadol Mama, released in 2024. The next one is the first ad from Cambodia. We have Effective Fever Relief, released in 2025. And the next one, which I can relate, I take this a lot sometimes, maybe. We have Period Pain, also developed in Cambodia, released in 2025. The next one is my favorite, actually. We have Shafiq Kyle, Actor and Family Man, released in 2026. Panadol Actifast Malaysia, released in 2020. We have Panadol Extend, which shows futsal in Malaysia. Also shows the relationship between a father and a son, released in 2020. We have Panadol Migraine, developed in the Gulf region specifically. And surprisingly, I just have known this. I didn't know we have Panadol in the Gulf region. So yeah, this is an interesting fact. It is released in 2026. The next one is the first one from Indonesia. We have the Ramadan month, the blessed month, which is released in 2026. We have Panadol Family Man, which we don't know where it is released. It is probably from Malaysia, but um, it is quite unclear. It is released in 2025. The next one is Panadol Food Delivery Guy, also developed in Indonesia, released in 2020. And the last one is Panadol Superhero Malaysia, released in 2015.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nina Fatini and today I will be presenting the data analysis procedure, which is the first step is identifying linguistic and visual indices. Linguistic indices refer to language features that help construct identity in the advertisements. These include the choice of words, pronouns, form of address, and advertising slogans. For example, in one advertisement, the phrase anda rasa saya ada masa untuk sakit kepala suggests that the speaker has important responsibilities and cannot afford to be sick. We also examine visual indices. These include body language, facial expressions, color, overall visual design, and so on. Across the advertisements, consumers are often shown lying down, holding their heads, or displaying signs of pain and exhaustion. After taking Panadol, their expression changed to relief and confidence. These visual cues help communicate the identities being constructed in the advertisement. The second step is analyzing social roles and footing. For social roles, we examine how participants are positioned in relation to others. Common relationships found in the advertisement include mother or father and child, as well as husband and wife. These roles help us understand how Panadol represents consumers in everyday situations. We also applied Goffman concept of footing. Footing here refers to how individuals are positioned within an interaction. In many advertisements, consumers are initially portrayed as active individuals carrying out daily responsibilities. However, when pain occurs, they temporarily become vulnerable patients. After taking Panadol, they return to their previous active roles. This shift is consistently represented across the advertisement. Next, the final step is determining the dominant identity. We identify dominant identity based on repeated patterns across the 15 advertisements. Specifically, we look at recurring linguistic expressions, repeated visual representations, consistent social role positioning, and reinforcement across multiple advertisements. We also considered both vowel and inscription identities. In addition, we evaluated power relationships represented in the advertisements, particularly how consumers are portrayed when experiencing illness. Through this process, we identified the dominant identities that appeared most frequently throughout the dataset.
Our first major finding for research question 1 is the construction of Panadol as the reliable specialist, also specifically known as organizational identity, and this is an identity of technical authority and medical innovation. And we identified several linguistic indices that support this. For instance, in multiple ads for Panadol Extra, the discourse uses highly specific scientific claims, such as up to 37% more powerful pain relief than standard paracetamol. And other than that, the use of technical product names, such as Actifers, Extra Advance, and Extend, further indexed a brand that is focused on scientific precision rather than just generic relief. Visually, as you can see that I have circled the Panadol Shield logo, serves as a semiotic anchor providing a visual metaphor for protection, and this logo is present in all 15 advertisements. This organizational identity prioritizes technical expertise to foster consumer trust through perceived objectivity.
Next, the second identity that we have analyzed is relational identity. Based on our analysis, Panadol constructs itself as a caring companion and supportive partner in consumers' everyday lives. In other words, Panadol does not only market itself as a pain relief medicine. Instead, through both language and visual representations, it positions itself as a reliable companion that supports consumers during moments of discomfort and helps them to continue their daily responsibilities. To support this finding, we identified both linguistic and visual indices across the 15 advertisements. Firstly, for the linguistic indices, across different advertisements, Panadol repeatedly uses phrases such as relief from headache and body pains, take care with Panadol, relief pain in 30 minutes, fast relief, and sakit tiada lagi. These expressions create a sense of care, support, and reassurance. Rather than simply focusing on the product itself, the language emphasizes helping consumers overcome pain and return to their normal lives. The use of words such as that care and trusted relief suggests a relationship between the brand consumers, where Panadol acts as a supportive companion during difficult situations. Besides language, visual elements also contribute to the construction of relational identity. The advertisements frequently portray people returning to their daily activities after taking Panadol. For example, we see workers continuing their jobs, family members spending time together, and individuals engaging in social interactions. Several advertisements also showing positive facial expressions and body language after pain relief is achieved. These visuals communicate support, care, and well-being. They suggest that Panadol is not merely treating physical pain but helping consumers maintain important relationships and responsibilities in their everyday lives. According to Buchel and Hall 2005, identities are not fixed but are continuously constructed through discourse and social interaction. This idea can be clearly observed in Panadol advertisements. Through repeated portrayals of caregiving, emotional support, and interpersonal relationship, Panadol's construct an identity that extends beyond medicine. The advertisement consistently positioned Panadol as a supportive partner that helps consumers manage pain while maintaining their relationship and responsibilities. Next, we examine broader context surrounding the advertisements. From a social context, the advertisement reflects societal values such as family care, emotional support, and interpersonal responsibility. Panadol aligns itself with these values by portraying situations where consumers care for themselves and their loved ones. Next, for economic context, many advertisements feature workers, students, and parents who must continue fulfilling their responsibilities despite experiencing pain. Panadol is therefore presented as a solution that enables productivity and daily functioning. And for religious context, the Ramadan theme advertisement highlight family togetherness, compassion, and caregiving during an important period in Islamic calendar. This demonstrates how Panadol integrates itself into consumers' religious and family practice. Next, our findings are also consistent with previous studies and theories. Firstly, Conrad and Letter 2004 found that healthcare advertising increasingly portrays healthcare products as a partner in everyday life rather than merely medical products. Similarly, our analysis found that Panadol is represented as more than just a medicine. It is portrayed as a supportive companion that assists consumers in managing pain and continuing their daily responsibilities. This similarity suggests that Panadol follows a broader trend in healthcare advertising where brands seek to establish emotional connection with consumers through supporting and caring identities.
Now moving on to the findings for research question 1. The third avowal identity identified is Panadol's commodified identity. From the linguistic indices, Panadol repeatedly presents itself as more than just a medicine. Phrases such as really starts here, Panadol can help relieve pain from post-vaccination symptoms and fast-acting, effective relief from body muscle pain, a position that the product as a solution that allows consumers to continue their daily lives. This message, these messages promote not only pain relief but also the benefit associated with using the product, making Panadol itself a marketable and valuable commodity. The visual indices further support this identity. Across the advertisement, consumers are frequently shown working, socializing, exercising, attending family gatherings, or carrying out daily responsibilities. Panadol is visually associated with these positive outcomes. As a result, the product becomes linked with productivity, social participation, and an active lifestyle. The advertisement suggests that Panadol is not simply treating pain, but enabling consumers to continue performing important social roles. This finding is supported by Stevens from 2021. According to Steven, identity can be treated as a commodity that is marketed to attract consumers. Similarly, Panadol is associated with being a productive worker and a committed family member. The advertisements, therefore, sell not only pain relief but also the ability to continue fulfilling social responsibilities. In other words, Panadol commodifies the identity of being productive and responsible. This finding can also be understood through social and economic context. From a social perspective, the advertisement reflects a contemporary expectation that individuals should continue fulfilling family and social responsibilities despite having a physical discomfort. From an economic perspective, productivity is highly valued in modern society. Panadol is therefore presented as a product that helps consumers maintain work performance and daily activities. This reinforces the idea that staying productive is important even when facing pain or even illness. When compared with previous studies, there are both similarities and differences. Similar to Stephen in 2021, our findings show that identity can be commodified and linked to consumption. Stevens argued that identity can become a commodity that is marketed and consumed. Likewise, in our study, Panadol is marketed not only as a medicine, but also as a symbol of productivity and responsibility. Consumers are encouraged to associate the product with their ability to continue working and fulfilling social obligations. However, there is a difference in the type of identity being commodified. Stephen focused on race as a commodity, whereas our study focused on productivity and responsibility. In other words, Panadol commodified the image of being a productive and responsible individual rather than a racial identity. Similarly, Pizanowska in 2020 found that motherhood becomes linked to material goods and consumer culture. This is comparable to our findings because Panadol advertisement also connect desirable social roles to product consumption. However, while this author focused specifically on motherhood, our study focused more broadly on productivity, responsibility, and the ability to maintain everyday commitment through the use of Panadol. Next,
Moving to research question 2, we found that Panadol ascribes a specific identity to the consumer, one of them which is the high performance individual, which specifically is the social identity, and the discourse suggests that a Panadol user is someone whose life is too fast-paced or important to be slowed down by any kind of pain. And a key visual index for this is the use of sports and physical labor activity, and we see this in Panaflex and Panadol Extend ads featuring futsal players, football teams, as well as a collaboration with Malaysian actor Shafiq Kyle, which indexed an active and high energy lifestyle. And furthermore, we can also see this in the post vaccination advertisement. The image shows a consumer buried under a mountain of paperwork with the linguistic index getting in the way of assignments. And this describes an identity of hardworking student or professional who views pain as a barrier to productivity. Same goes to the Ramadan advertisement, right? Where the consumer is ascribed the identity of a devout observer, a very caring mother who cooks for her child early in the morning for sahur and then goes to work and then cooks for her child again for berbuka. And yeah, but this mother needs Panadol Extra so that their blessed month is not interrupted by headaches. And in all these cases, the discourse ascribes a social identity where our ability to perform our daily duties is tied to the use of the product. And this contrasts with early studies that focused purely on health, showing a shift toward identifying the consumer as a high functioning performer in modern society.
Next, the second identity for research question 2 is also relational identity. We found that Panadol construct consumers as caring, responsible, and supportive individuals who prioritize the well-being of their family members and loved ones. Unlike the previous finding, where the focus was on Panadol as a caring companion, the focus here is on how consumers themselves are represented. The advertisement consistently portray consumers as parents, caregivers, spouses, and family members whose actions are closely connected to the well-being of others. So for the linguistic indices, for example, phrases such as your child is in good hands and family-oriented narratives emphasize responsibility, care, and protection. The advertisements also frequently highlight family well-being and interpersonal responsibilities. These linguistic choices encourage audiences to view themselves as caring individuals who take responsibility for the health and well-being for their loved ones. Next. For the visual indices, many advertisements portray parents interacting with children, family members sharing meals together, mother caring for their children, and fathers supporting their families. These repeated representations construct consumers as individuals whose identities are defined through relationship with others. According to Hedge 1993, relational identities emerge through interactions with significant others and are shaped by social relationships. This can clearly be seen in the advertisement where consumers are frequently portrayed as parents, caregivers, and family members. This recurring representation function as indices of relational identity because they emphasize relationship and responsibilities towards others. Next. The construction of consumers' relational identity can also be understood through social, economic, and religious contexts. Socially, consumers are expected to care for family members and maintain positive interpersonal relationships. Economically, many consumers are portrayed as workers, students, and parents whose well-being affects their ability to contribute to society and fulfill their responsibility. And religiously, the Ramadan theme advertisement reflect Islamic values of family care, compassion, and collective well-being. Finally, our findings are consistent with previous research. Guffman 1979 argues that advertising frequently portrays individuals through socially expected interpersonal roles. Similarly, the Panadol advertisements portray consumers as caring parents, supportive family members, and responsible caregivers. In addition, Lupton 1994 argues that health communication encouraged individuals to take responsibility for both their own well-being and the well-being of others. This is reflected in our data where consumers are repeatedly represented as relational beings whose identities are shaped by responsibilities towards loved ones. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
For research question 2, we identified consumers' commodified identity. So the linguistic indices shows that consumers are represented as people who need to remain active and responsible despite has experiencing pain. The advertisement emphasized recovery, effectiveness, and the ability to continue daily activities. Through these messages, consumers are portrayed as individuals whose value is connected to their ability to remain productive and fulfill responsibilities. Again, the visual indices support this finding, whereby consumers are frequently shown working, exercising, socializing, preparing food, attending family gatherings, participating in daily routines, and so on. Even when they experience discomfort, the advertisement focus on their return to normal activities after taking Panadol. These repeated visual patterns construct an identity of consumers as active, responsible, and productive individuals. This finding is supported by Lisa Noska's study from 2020, which argues that motherhood is increasingly linked to the acquisition of material goods. Similarly, the Panadol advertisement associate consumers with desirable social identities and suggests that these roles can be maintained through product consumption. As a result, consumers are represented as responsible individuals whose ability to fulfill daily responsibilities is supported by Panadol. Last but not least, we compare our findings with previous studies on Panadol advertising. Similar to according to Star et al. In 2021, our study found that Panadol is associated with overcoming everyday challenges. And Star and colleagues argued that Panadol enables consumers to stay on top of every challenge. Likewise, our Panadol advertisement portray consumers as individuals who continue carrying out their responsibilities despite experiencing pain. However, the difference is that Star et al. Focus on challenges related to working from home and family life during the COVID-19 period, whereas our study examines a wider range of advertisements across different countries and contexts. As a result, we found a broader commodified identity centered on responsibility and productivity. Similarly, in Akil and Ali in 2024, found that Panadol is promoted as helping consumers preserve healthy routines and productivity. This supports our finding that consumers are expected to remain active and productive. However, their study mainly focused on comfort, sleep, and maintaining healthy routines, while our study specifically examines how consumers themselves are commodified and represented as responsible individuals whose social value is connected to maintaining their daily roles. And that concludes my part. I'll pass to the next presenter.
In conclusion, Haleon or the Panadol Company wants to perceived as organizational identity, relational identity, and commodified identity. Meanwhile, Panadol puts upon several identities upon its customer, which is social identity, relational identity, and commodified identity. And that is all from us. Here are the references. Thank you.